Hey everyone, Eric here. Welcome back. So let's talk about mastering something new. You know that feeling, right? That initial rush when you're just soaring. Learning guitar, picking up a new language, maybe even getting good at Excel. But then, bam, you hit a wall. Progress just grinds to a halt. It's so frustrating. And that's exactly what we're going to dig in today, using some killer ideas from Scott Young's book, Ultra Learning.
So, what gives? We've all heard it a million times. Practice makes perfect. But let's be real. We've also all had that feeling where you put in the hours, you do the reps, and nothing. You get zero results. It feels like you're just spinning your wheels. So why does our progress just flatline like that? Let's get into it.
All right, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about that frustrating plateau. Then we'll expose the real villain here, something called the automation trap. After that, I'll show you the 3 key ultra-learning principles to smash through that wall. We'll even build a practical playbook you can use. And finally, we'll look at what the path to real mastery actually looks like.
Yeah, this feeling is universal, isn't it? When you're a beginner, everything is awesome. The progress feels so fast, so exciting. But then, after a little while, you hit that infamous learning wall. It doesn't matter how much time you put in, you just feel stuck. You're not getting any better.
And this quote just nails the problem, right? We get comfortable, we start mistaking that feeling of familiarity for actual mastery, and that's when our progress just stops. Basically, we're just going through the motions, repeating what's easy instead of actually pushing ourselves to get better.
Okay, so let's play detective for a minute and find the real root cause of this problem. It all boils down to what Scott Young calls the automation trap. And this idea, it's going to show us exactly why having years and years of experience doesn't necessarily make you an expert at all.
I mean, just think about driving a car. You've probably been doing it for years, right? But are you a better driver now than you were after that first year? Probably not. And that's because you're just using the skill. You're not actively trying to improve it. It's the same for so many things we do at work every day. We're just running on autopilot.
This actually leads to a fascinating and kind of mind-blowing finding from a classic study. Researchers took a look at a group of professional typists, and get this, on average, they had 17 years of experience. So you'd think they'd be just blazing fast, right? Absolute masters of the keyboard. Well, prepare to be shocked. The study found that after their very first year on the job, their typing speed showed almost zero improvement for the next 16 years. So that 17 years of experience was really just 1 year of learning repeated 17 times. That's crazy. So here's the big idea. This cognitive automation is basically the enemy of getting better. See, once our brain finds a good enough way to do something, it switches to autopilot. Why? To save precious energy. It feels easy, which is nice, but it's a total trap. It just locks you in at your current skill level, and you never move forward. Okay, so how do we fight back? How do we snap out of this autopilot mode our brain loves so much? Well, Scott Young lays out this really powerful system, and we've kind of boiled it down to 3 core principles. Think of these as your keys to breaking that automation and finally starting to grow again. Principle number 1 is directness. This is huge. It basically means you have to practice the skill in the actual situation where you plan to use it. So many of us get caught up in indirect learning. Reading a book about public speaking instead of actually getting on a stage. If you want to get better at English, memorizing vocab lists won't cut it. You have to go out and, speak to people. You got to close that gap between practice and performance. All right, number 2, you need high-quality feedback. When you're on autopilot, you're blind to your own mistakes. It's like driving with a foggy windshield. So you have to actively seek out information that tells you exactly what you're doing wrong. Your friend saying, hey, good job, is nice, but it's useless for growth. You need specifics. Record yourself, get a coach, ask a colleague to be brutally honest. Feedback is like your GPS for getting better. And the third, final principle is retrieval. This one is a game changer. True learning isn't about pouring information into your brain, it's about pulling information out of it. So instead of just rereading a chapter in a book, try this. Close the book and explain the main ideas out loud, to yourself. This act of testing yourself is what really forges those strong connections in your brain. It's way harder, for sure, but man, is it more effective. Okay, so the theory is cool and all, but let's get practical. How do we turn these 3 principles, directness, feedback, and retrieval, into an actual playbook? Something you can use like tomorrow for a skill you really want to master.
Let's take an example. Say you want to get way better at speaking English. For directness, you don't just study. You schedule weekly calls with a native speaker. For feedback, you record those calls and ask someone to point out just 3 key mistakes. Then for retrieval, after the call, you write down 5 new phrases you learned and force yourself to use them the next day. See? It's a complete system. It's not just messing around on a language app for 15 minutes. It's targeted, it's deliberate.
Or how about public speaking? You want to nail your next presentation. For directness, you volunteer for a low-stakes team update. Just get some reps in. For feedback, you record yourself, yeah, it's cringy, but it works, and ask a trusted coworker for just one thing to improve. And for retrieval, you practice talking through your core message without looking at your slides. That is how you build real confidence and skill.
So when you start looking at it this way, you realize that becoming an expert isn't some kind of magic. It's not a gift that only a few talented people get. It's more like engineering. It's a system. It's a problem that you can actually design a solution for.
And honestly, this is the most powerful idea in the whole book. Your progress isn't limited by talent. It's determined by your system. You can design and manage your own improvement. By intentionally using directness, feedback, and retrieval, you can systematically smash through any plateau and really truly master whatever you set your mind to.
So, this all leads to one final, really important question for you. It's not, can you learn this stuff? The answer is yes. The real question is, what will you choose to master next? Think about it. That one skill where you feel stuck. How can you build a playbook for it, starting today? I really hope this explainer gave you a clear game plan. If you got something valuable out of it, it would mean a lot to us if you could hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe share this with a friend who's also trying to level up their skills.
And hey, we always love hearing from you. What book or big idea should we tackle next? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'm Eric, and I'll catch you in the next one.